Hey, it's Teresa G coming in from her cluttered kitchen for another episode of Baking with Trevor. And we are going to attempt to make the dough for the famous Momofuku milk bar compost cookies.
Momofuku.
Momofuku milk bar in New York City. We are going to try to make Christina Tosi's recipe. I have made it many times in the past. I made it for my best. I made it many years ago before I tasted the real thing. Loved it. And then I went and I bought the real thing and gave one to my best friend Kim. And she thought that mine was actually better than the real thing. And so when I was thinking of something to do for her birthday, which is on Saturday, I thought I would just make a giant cookie made out of, you guessed it, the compost cookie. And then I will write on it, Happy Birthday, Kim. So we figured we would also make this into another Baking with Trevor. And we also realized that last time Trevor didn't really do much baking except for throwing some stuff in and hitting mix on the mixer. So, and of course scooping. So he's going to do all the measuring. And I'm going to read off the ingredients from the actual Milk Bar cookbook, and then we will make the dough in my KitchenAid mixer. We will refrigerate it, and I will bake it off as a giant cookie, or as close to a giant cookie as we can get. So here we go. We're going to make compost cookies in Baking with Trevor. We already have the butter. Because I got home from work and I did not put it out before I left, this is a quick way. This is a good tip. This is a good, quick way of softening butter. You just mince it up into itsy bitsy bits and you let it sit out for a little while. And if you notice, my hands are impeccably clean. It's very soft. Okay? So, there it goes. You're supposed to have 2 sticks of butter, unsalted. There we go. Okay, that part Trevor does not have to measure. Okay, next is 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. There's your sugar. There are your measuring cups. You need a 1 cup measure. That's the green one on the bottom. The one on the bottom is 1 cup. Okay, or you should see it says 1 cup right there.
Indeed.
Okay. All right, so you're gonna pour some in there, and then you're going to
that's in frame.
Oh, first of all, let's.
Yeah.
Okay. Slowly, so it doesn't get all over the place. Okay. And I will also get a piece of parchment paper to stick underneath, just in case it does spill, that you can collect it up. Okay. All right. That's what the pros do. They do measuring on top of parchment paper. Okay. All right. A little more until it's right at the top. And we will get out a couple of bowls for some of these types of ingredients. Some of the things towards the end. Now, see, that's where you use this like that. Not the bottom. The top. The like that. All right. And you swipe it. Okay. All right. There's your cup. Alright, we're going to measure that into here. Alright, and then you're going to fold this up and pour it back in. See? That way, you don't lose any. Okay. Oh, Alright, okay. Okay. Alright, and I will take, you'll put this back down. I'll put this back in. And the other thing. Next thing you need to measure is 150 grams, which is a quarter cup tightly packed brown sugar. Right? And there's the brown sugar. You're going to take a smaller scoopy thing. Okay, you just need, it says that you need a quarter cup. So, no, a quarter cup. All right, is this one quarter cup? This one's quarter cup. Does it fit? It fits. All right, you're going to put that in. dig it in and then pack it in. All right, take your fingers and pack it in. Put it on top of here and just pack it down. Okay, and then you can also do this. All right, and then we're going to put that into a smallish bowl or something. We can use one of these. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. And now Mr. Neatneck.
It's on the floor too.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm worried about it.
My son, obsessive compulsive. Alright, well I will put that back in. Alright, we'll put this out. Next is 50 grams or 2 tablespoons of this. Alright, so you're going to do that. And then we're going to pour it into something else that we can use.
Blue agave.
Well, we would use corn syrup normally. Normally I would use corn syrup instead of glucose. But, haha, I can't find it. And I have an enormous...
What am I doing with this?
That's why I had told you. I have to find those little measuring. I just had... Where did they go? I had the little measure... Well, you know what? We'll use these.
My mom loses everything.
Yes. All right. We're going to spray it in here. That way it comes out. All right. Put it in there. Then we're going to measure. I just had it because I measured out the coffee for the recipe. So here they are.
Good job.
All right. Well, now you have them for other things. Did you do another one?
What was I supposed to?
You're supposed to do 2 tablespoons. So yeah, one more. Okay. Alright. Then, after that, you need half a teaspoon of, normally people would use vanilla extract. I have vanilla powder. So you're going to do half a teaspoon. Alright, look at what they say. That's a quarter. The other one's a half. Alright, half a teaspoon.
Oh, I got on my toe.
Alright. If it doesn't fit in there, and you can see this, that's what's good about this, is that you can pour it out.
No.
Alright, just into there. Alright, boom. Alright, where's the cover? Okay. Next, we need 1 1/3 cups of, I'm going to put this in here. 1 1/3 cups of I use 1 cup, right? And then get a third one of these. I think this one here should be a third. Alright. Flour. So we got all-purpose flour in there. As I told you, there's already a little measuring cup in there, which will help you to fill up your other cup. Okay? And of course you're going to use the knife to do it right over the thing so it doesn't get all over the place. Okay, 1 1/3 cup. So you're going to have to do that one. And then we'll put it into here. Alright, so now you're going to fill that and then put it in here. Alright? So fill that and then put it in here. Okay? Actually, instead of using this, instead of using the knife, what you can do is use the back of that cup. No, don't squish it in. Don't squish it in. Just, yes, just smooth it out. Just smooth out the top. Okay, put it in there. Okay, now, you're going to take, because this is what you do. We're going to need a bigger bowl. And you're going to measure all this stuff into the one bowl, okay? All of it. And if I can just find the damn bowl. Because I moved all the bowls, didn't I? Yeah. Alright. Here we go, bowls. Alright. Okay, so in this bowl, alright, you're going to put that. Then on top of it, you're going to measure out half a teaspoon of baking powder. And you can do the same thing, you know, level it off over the can. Okay. Oh yeah. What I needed over here was a whisk. A whisk. A whisk. Whisk. I need a whisk. Okay. Alright. Yes, just do and then just no. Then go under here, under this thing and just even it out. On the other side. Sure. That. Just under. Just right under and just boom, down. That's why they put it there. Okay? Just put it right in there. Then you're going to take 1/4 of a teaspoon of this. Okay? Alright? 1/4 of a teaspoon. And that doesn't have one of those little measuring things, so you gotta use your finger over the thing and just scoop. Alright. And then take that. And then 1 whole teaspoon of kosher salt. 1 whole teaspoon of this. Alright? And same thing. That's a tablespoon.
Yeah, I know.
Teaspoon. I said teaspoon. Alright. 1 teaspoon. That's the next one. Alright?
Whatever.
Alright? And you're going to do the same thing. Boom. Actually, you don't need to. Okay. Alright? And what we're going to do is we're going to mix all of that together with the whisk. Okay? Whisk all that together.
This was my favorite part as a kid.
Yes, it was. Well, that and eating little bits of chocolate chips and stuff. Okay, then we're going to measure out the chips, the graham cracker crust. Now, there's a separate recipe in here for the graham cracker crust, which is one of the ingredients in the recipe. I made this a while back and froze it in quarter recipe bags. That way I didn't have to do it this time. But next time, I'm going to have to. Or what you do is a couple days before you're going to make the cookies, you make the graham cracker crust part. Okay? So, what you're going to do is we're going to take another bowl. Alright? Alright, that's good enough. Just making sure it's all mixed. Alright? Okay? Now, in that bowl, you're going to measure out, what is it? 3/4 of a cup? I think it's 3/4 of a cup of the mini chocolate chips. Now we have 2 bags with the chocolate chips. One is open already. All right, so you're going to do a 1/4 cup, and then find which one of these is a 1/4 cup. This one probably is. Yeah. All right, so just 3 of these into there. If there isn't enough, then we open up the other bag. All right. You're going to need 3 of those. 3/4 of a cup of that. 1/2 cup of the butterscotch chips. All right, if a little more goes in, it's just more for the cookies. Okay? Got it? That doesn't really matter. I usually add more chocolate anyway. And that's what makes it so yummalicious. Right? Right. Okay. So, 3/4 of a cup. If it's not totally 3/4, oh well. Okay. Not really enough to save it, right? You know what? If there's not enough to save, just do it. Okay. Then 1/2 cup of that. So 2 of those, right? 1/2 cup.
Oh, that's heavier than it looks.
Yeah. Go carefully. Measure out the chips. Oh, that's 1/8 of a cup. So another 1/2. You know what? With one hand, hold this. With one finger, hold that. Because those are very old canning jars, and that's how they, you know, clamp the jar shut, right? So,
that should be good.
It's good enough. All right. Then you need a 1/4 recipe of the graham cracker crust. That's this. Okay. 1/4 of a recipe. All right. Next, 1/3 of a cup of oats. 1/3 of a cup. So where's the 1/3 of a cup? That, right? 1/3 of a cup of oats. Now normally I would use old-fashioned oats, but these are quick actual groats, the actual oat groats, and I use them usually when the recipes call for it. And then 2.5 teaspoons of the coffee, which I already measured out. So just pour that in. I'm using Death Wish coffee there, because I can. Alright, and then you're going to take the whisk again, whisk it all together, kind of. Okay? Then it calls for, this is the interesting part, 2 cups of potato chips and a cup of pretzels. Unfortunately, we don't have pretzels.
Oh, that's strong coffee.
I know. Oh, it is. It's
going right up my nose.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the strongest coffee in the world. I don't know about that.
Going right up my nose.
All right. So, what we're going to do instead of the pretzels is I'm using sesame sticks. And these are just plain your dad's favorite plain potato chips, which I am going to just break up a little bit. My hands are impeccably clean because I have to wash them 900 times at the store. Every single day, I must wash my hands 900 times in that bakery. So, all right. I haven't touched it. Aside from changing and making coffee, I haven't done much with my hands since I got home. All right. So you just break these up as best you can. Okay. And then we're going to start putting it all into the machine. So, turn it around. Okay, we're recording. Okay, so here you go. We're gonna attach the beater. Right? We're gonna plug in the mixer. Ay, so much stuff over here. Okay. All right. And then we're gonna lift it up. Okay. All right. Now you're gonna add the butter. All right. You're gonna add the butter. The granulated sugar, which in this instance it is organic sugar. So you're going to add the butter. You have to use a spatula.
Yeah, I was going to say that's... Right. Thank you.
Yes, because since I know you don't want to touch it. See, if it was me, I'd touch it. It's right into the mixer.
Come on. Get. Oh.
What did it fall? Alright, well, it's no biggie. I'll just put it in. Doesn't matter because it's all going in the same pot, the same thing.
Yeah.
Alright, so there you go. Alright, now sugar, then the brown sugar, and then the quote-unquote gold paste in this instance is the agave nectar, which is actually a form of fructose. There's something we can do about it. It's what we got. Since I can't find that giant bottle of, what's it called? Okay, of a giant bottle of corn syrup that I have somewhere downstairs in the basement.
And the egg.
Somewhere in the basement. No, I didn't say they had the egg yet. Not yet. You have to cream the butter in.
I didn't do it.
Oh, all right. So now you're gonna turn this on. Do it like 1 or 2, just on low for a second.
See.
Just the first notch. Okay. All right. Then you're gonna take another spatula. Turn it off for a second. Alright, then you do what they call scraping down. Alright, this is scraping down the mixer. Okay?
Yeah. Alright, I need to leave.
What?
I need to go to the line.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. It's 5:42.
You still have 5 minutes. Yeah, well, it takes 2 to get. putting it into some kind of roll right over here. Okay. Let's scrape it down one more time, then you'll add that stuff. Okay. Okay, now add the egg.
Did you take pictures?
No.
Take pictures.
I will. Oh, look at this. We still have a little bit of butter. Let's put that little bit of butter in. Don't let butter go to waste. You put the glucose, supposedly. Alright, let it run. It's going to run for 7 minutes. Okay. Now it's going to run for 7 minutes. I'll run it a little faster. Okay, now I'm going to add in, Trevor had to leave, but he'll be back. You know, add in the flour on low. Flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt. You saw Trevor measure it. Now I'm using my scoop-its from my video a couple weeks ago. Any more than that, or else you will overmix the dough. Do not walk away when it is on this specific part of the recipe. You can overmix it. Alright. Okay. Next. Now on low speed, I'm going to add the chocolate chip mixture, okay? Okay, and then the potato chips. Okay, I'm going to scrape down. Like that. Overmix it or break up the potato chips too much. You don't want to break up the potato chips too much. The recipe says you deserve a pat on the back if you bake one off and one of the potato chips is still sticking up. The pretzels are still, a whole pretzel is sticking up. Well, I don't have whole pretzels this time, unfortunately. I ran out of pretzels and didn't realize it. So I'm using sesame sticks. We'll see how that works out. After all, it's supposed to be compost, right? It's supposed to be like garbage. Sort of. So, as I've said, I've made this many times. At one time I used Ritz crackers in it. One time I used bits of goldfish crackers. Plain goldfish crackers, not the cheesy ones. And the ones with graham crackers. And it worked really well. It was yummy. So, it's a very easy recipe to adapt if you need to. Okay. Alright. On wax paper, I'm going to spread half of the dough out. Okay, using my scoop it. Alright. Okay, using my scoop it. Alright, I'm going to take about half the dough. Okay. And using my offset spatula. Also from my baking tools recipe from a couple of weeks ago. Okay. 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 I'm gonna roll. I'm just gonna usually I roll it into like a tube, but this time I'm just rolling it like this. I'm just putting it in. It's gonna refrigerate, and I'm gonna pat it into that plate. I'm gonna pat it into the pie plate, the cookie plate, cookie pan. Yeah, I'm gonna pat it into the cookie pan that's sprayed with cooking spray, and I will, this one I'm gonna roll out because I'm gonna make one into a big giant cookie for Kim, and the rest of it I'm gonna make into actual cookies at some point in the next couple of days. I promised the guys at the bakery that I would bring them a couple of the cookies because they have never heard of this cookie. The manager of my bakery department is Italian. I mean, really seriously Italian, thick accent and all. And he has never heard of it. And the other one, I think, is from New Jersey. And he has never heard of it either. So I promised them I would bring them them a cookie. So I'm going to do that. We are a team at the bakery. That's what we are. And, alright, so one of them told me to, the recipe is supposed to bake 375 for 18 minutes. One of them told me to bake the large giant cookie at the same temperature, but for 5 minutes more. The other one told me to lower the heat to 360 and bake it for 10 minutes. I don't know why I'd go less instead of more, but whatever. So I'm gonna try, actually, I may take half of this and put it into a different pan and try each one at a different temperature and see. But I also want to make some regular cookies. Okay? So, these are going in the refrigerator for an hour. What you're supposed to do is scoop the dough with a cookie scoop, with a ice cream scoop, and put it on parchment paper and then refrigerate it or freeze it for from an hour to a week. But I don't have an hour. I don't have a week. So I'm going to do an hour with like this, and then I'm going to pat it out and bake it. So we'll be back in an hour, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's been an hour. The dough has been refrigerated. And now I'm going to play a cookie. I would normally put silk hat liner on a sheet pan, but this is a special occasion. I'm wetting my hands a little bit so that I can push this in without it getting all stuck all over. Also, normally I would also go like this a little bit with the back of a measuring cup. I normally push it in. Let's at least try to put this into one level, one level amount of dough. Okay. And I'll just actually I want to kind of keep it flat. I'm not going to let it, I don't want it to go up the sides like I normally would with like a cheesecake or something like that. Okay, I want it one level amount of cookie dough, just so that it looks like, like one of those giant cookies, except it's not going to be as giant, obviously. Since I can't find I have two pizza pans. One is large and one is short. One is smaller. But for some reason I can't find it. As I've said, it's a cluttered kitchen. There's a reason why I call it that. But it used to be under the cabinet over there, and I don't know what I did with it. So, since I don't know what I did with it, okay, since I don't know what I did with it, I have to use these little, a cake pan, and this other one is a pizza pan for my air fryer. I thought that it might work. Okay, so I'm just pushing it out to fit the pizza pan. Okay, and just like the other one, level, even amount. Okay. So I'm going to put a piece of parchment on this and scoop out the rest. Now, I set the oven for, set the oven for 360, and I'm going to do it probably for 15 minutes. At 10 minutes I'll test the cookie, the giant one, and okay, I'm going to test it. I'm going to test this baby, okay? I'm going to go in 360 for 10 minutes. I'll test it with a toothpick. If it's still too goopy, kind of, I'll put it in for another 5. Hopefully, that will do it. If not, then I'll do it for another 5 minutes after that. Whatever. Same thing with this other one. Whichever one comes out better is the winner, you know? So, whichever one comes out better is the one I will decorate. All right, then I'm going to take the rest of this and make 5 or 6 other cookies. Okay. And, they're supposed to be quite large, but, you know, since I'm not making them the way that they were supposed to be from the book. But I will bake these other ones 18 minutes like the recipe says. And however big they come out, they come out. As I remember, I had to put them about 2 inches apart. And if they kind of bake together a little bit, then I'll know they're too close. Okay, so there we go. There's the last of the dough. Okay, the oven's at 360. Okay, so it's in 360 for 10 minutes. We'll be back in 10 minutes. And we'll see if it needs more or not. Okay, so the oven is open. And alright, this was 360 for 15 minutes. 10 minutes it was still very jiggly. And as you can tell, it's not jiggly. Alright, so that's one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the oven for 375. I'm going to wait about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to put the other one in and try it for 10 minutes. And if not, 15. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so this, as you can see, is what happened. You saw the cake pan go into the oven with the cookie in it at 360. And I left it in there for 10 minutes, and it was like liquid. So I set the timer for another 5 minutes. I'd still tested it, and it just wasn't good. So I gave it another 5 minutes, and it seemed fine. It was a solid cookie, but a little soft. Perfect. I took it out. I put it on the rack to cool. Meanwhile, I upped the temperature to 375. I put the second one in that was in my Aldi toaster oven pie pan. It was for pizza in a toaster oven. And that one came out absolutely perfect. 375 for 25 minutes, which is 7 minutes more than the recipe called for just the cookies. And it came out perfect. I decorated it this morning. I gave it to my friend. She loved it. She said it's even better than the last time I made these cookies. Okay? And then there was enough dough left for 5 cookies. And so this is what happened. Here's the 2 that came out excellent. Okay? This is what happened. Alright, these came out perfect, even though they're a little bit dark on the back. Those are the chocolate chips, you see. Alright? These came out perfect. These 3 came out a little too dark around the edges and too dark underneath. Okay? Which means that 18 minutes was too much for this part of it. But not too much for this part on the same cookie sheet. So I don't know what happened there. So the recipe calls for 375, 18 minutes for the cookies. I think next time I'm going to lower that to about 16 minutes or 15 minutes so that they don't get as dark around the edges. All right. This time I also used Death Wish coffee instead of Starbucks, which I normally use. I usually use Starbucks French Roast. And this time I used Death Wish coffee, which is supposed to be the strongest coffee in the world. I don't know about that. I think Nespresso coffee is better and stronger. But anyway, that's my opinion. And that's what happened with the cookies. All right. So if I ever make it into a giant cookie again, I will make it at 375 for 25 minutes. And if I'm just going to make the regular cookies, I'm going to do 375 at 14 or 15 minutes so that they come out like this instead of too dark. But otherwise, it's a wonderful recipe. It's from the Milk Bar Cookbook by Christina Tosi. Because the original one that I made was an adaptation from a blog. There were several blogs doing Milk Bar Mondays a few years ago where they did all the different cookies and things from the Momofuku Milk Bar. So they did the bagel bombs and they did the crack pie and all those different things. And that's where I got the original recipe for. But then I downloaded a link that a friend gave me into Total Reader that had the whole Milk Bar book and recipes in there. And so now I have the real recipe. It's very similar to the adaptation that I did. Instead of glucose, which is the professional ingredient, I used agave nectar, which is actually fructose because I can't get glucose. I'm sure I could find it like in Somerville at that specialty candy cookie baking place in Somerville. But since I couldn't get there to get the glucose, I used the fructose, which I guess did a similar thing to the recipe. I don't know exactly what it does. Their suggestion is that you use corn syrup if you can't get it. And I meant to use corn syrup, but I could not find this giant bottle I bought of it last year when I ran out of corn syrup. But I bought this giant bottle of it at Walmart, and I thought I brought it downstairs and put it in my baking pantry, but couldn't find it. So I used agave, and I think it worked just fine. But that could be why also those 3 cookies browned way more than the other 2. But anyway, so that's how it happened. That's the cookies, the Momofuku Milk Bar cookies. Thanks to Trevor for helping me to put it together. And he was so patient measuring out all those ingredients. One of these days, you'll actually see him bake something from beginning to end. He had to leave in the middle because he had to go to karate and teach a class. So next time he will actually finish the recipe, and you will see him finish the recipe. But anyway, thanks to Trevor for being a good sport. And I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you want to see more baking or baking with Trevor videos, they will be coming up because, of course, his birthday's coming up. Our anniversary's coming up. My birthday's coming up. Hanukkah's coming up. And New Year's. So there'll be lots of baking coming up. So please press like, subscribe to my channel for more fun. And, of course, click that little bell so that you get all my notifications. And thanks for coming into Teresa's Cluttered Kitchen. Bye.